Imagine this. You're huddled in a foxhole, the earth trembling with each distant explosion. The air is thick with the smell of gunpowder and damp soil. You grip your rifle, your knuckles white, your heart hammering against your ribs like a drum solo. For most of us, this is the stuff of movies, but for one soldier, this wasn't a movie. It was the longest, most terrifying hour of his life. Today, we re-stepping into his boots to experience a story of survival that will redefine what you think of as courage. This story takes us to a forgotten corner of a conflict, a small, isolated outpost manned by a handful of soldiers. Our protagonist, let's call him Sergeant Evans, was a seasoned veteran. He'd seen his share of action and thought he was prepared for anything, but nothing, absolutely nothing, could have prepared him for what was about to unfold on that moonless night. The evening started like any other. A quiet chill settled over the landscape. The men shared stories, drank lukewarm coffee, and tried to ignore the gnawing tension that was their constant companion. Evans was on watch, scanning the darkness through his night vision goggles. The world was a sea of grainy green and black. He saw the usual, a nocturnal animal scurrying through the brush, the wind rustling the leaves. But then he saw something else, a flicker. A movement that was too deliberate, too organized to be natural. His blood ran cold. He whispered into his radio, his voice steady despite the adrenaline spike. Contact, multiple hostiles, West Quadrant closing in. The comm shattered. The quiet outpost erupted into a controlled chaos. Men scrambled to their positions, a symphony of clicking bolts and hushed, urgent commands. The waiting was the worst part. Every second stretched into an eternity. Evans could hear his own breathing, loud and ragged in his ears. He was responsible for his men, and the weight of that responsibility felt heavier than his gear. Then the world exploded. The first mortar shell landed with a deafening roar, showering their position with dirt and shrapnel. The attack was overwhelming, a tidal wave of fire and fury. The enemy was closer, more numerous, and better equipped than their intelligence had suggested. The night lit up with muzzle flashes and the crisscrossing lines of tracer rounds. It was a storm of steel, and Sergeant Evans and his small unit were right in the eye of it. Their training took over. They returned fire, their actions becoming automatic, a desperate dance of survival. But they were being systematically dismantled. The radio crackled with cries for help, then fell silent. One by one, their positions were overrun. Evans felt a gut-wrenching fear, not just for himself, but for the young soldiers fighting alongside him, kids who were barely out of their teens. He saw the look in their eyes, a mixture of terror and fierce determination. Pinned down, with their ammunition dwindling and their perimeter shrinking, Evans made a decision, a desperate, almost insane gamble. He knew their only chance was to break the enemy's momentum, to do something so unexpected it would throw the attackers into confusion. He looked at the two remaining soldiers with him. "Cover me," he said, his voice grim. Before they could argue, he was up and moving. He wasn't charging mindlessly. He was a ghost in the chaos, using the craters from the explosions as cover, moving from shadow to shadow. His target was a machine gun nest that was chewing up their position. It was a suicide mission. Every instinct screamed at him to stay down, to find cover, to survive. But the thought of his men, of his promise to bring them home, pushed him forward. The air whizzed past his ears. He could feel the heat of the explosions on his face. Time seemed to slow down. He saw the faces of the enemy, illuminated by the gunfire, their expressions contorted in the heat of battle. They were just men, like him, caught in this same nightmare. But in that moment, it was them or his brothers. He raised his rifle, took a deep breath, and did what he had to do. Silence. The machine gun fell quiet. For a brief, blessed moment, there was a lull in the fighting. His gamble had paid off. The enemy, confused by the loss of their key weapon, hesitated. It was the opening they needed. Reinforcements, alerted by their initial distress call, were minutes away. That single act of incredible bravery had turned the tide. It bought them the most precious commodity on any battlefield: time. As the first light of dawn broke through the smoke-filled sky, the scene was one of utter devastation. But they had held. They had survived. Evans, his body bruised and his ears ringing, looked at the faces of the survivors. They were exhausted, they were in shock, but they were alive. He had faced down the scariest hour of his life, not with a lack of fear, but by controlling it, by putting the lives of his team before his own. This isn't just a war story. It's a testament to the human spirit's capacity to endure the unimaginable. It's about leadership, sacrifice, and the profound bond that forms between people in the most extreme circumstances. Sergeant Evans is a hero, not because he was fearless, but because he acted in spite of his fear. He stared into the abyss and chose to fight for the person next to him. Stories like this remind us of the incredible sacrifices made by service members every day. They face situations most of us can only imagine, and they do it with a level of bravery that is truly humbling. If this story moved you, please give this video a thumbs up and share it. It's important these stories of courage are not forgotten. And if you want to hear more incredible stories of human resilience and strength, make sure to hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications. We have so much more to share with you. Thank you for watching and for taking the time to honor this incredible act of bravery. We'll see you in the next one.